When her girlfriend falls ill, a Danish woman travels to England to be by her side. But she soon finds herself struggling to adapt to the unfamiliar customs of her girlfriend's Orthodox Jewish mother. As she tries to navigate this new environment, she becomes increasingly disturbed by the mother's obsession with bizarre rituals, leading her to question the reason behind her girlfriend's illness. The movie starts with an ominous sound, followed by the voice of an unidentified woman who utters the words, "Wake up." She is heard urging someone to awaken. Maya wakes up to realize that she's running late for work. As she hurries to the library where she is scheduled to tell a Christmas elf story to a group of sad-looking children, she accidentally collides with the cute, curly-haired English girl, Lee. She is stunned at her. When Maya reaches the library, she discovers that she has brought the wrong book with her. She quickly improvises a new story for the kids on the spot. Maya performs a storytelling about a Christmas elf and they are very delighted. Lee, an English girl, recognizes Maya, a Danish woman, from a famous children's book where Maya appears as a standee dressed up as a funny Santa Claus in a red jumpsuit. Afterward, she returns the correct book to Lee. Maya invites Lee for a drink, initially joking for Lee to get her autograph, but Lee declines, only to change her mind later on. They decide to go out for a drink, but since it's already 11 p.m., they can't drink alcohol. Maya invites Lee to her house for tea instead. As they get to know each other, Maya is enamored by Lee and feels a connection. Lee is in Denmark for a research thesis and has Danish roots, as her mother is Danish. They spend the night talking and drinking wine. Maya shares that she used to be an actress in a Christmas TV show and appears in Christmas storybooks for kids. Her mom already died and she's living in her mom's apartment. As they get closer, they kiss and sleep together in the same bed. In the middle of the night, Lee's mother calls, and both of them can be heard snoring. Maya wakes up when she hears the phone ringing, but she finds Lee's side of the bed empty. Suddenly, Lee appears, standing behind her, sleepwalking. Lee is conscious with her eyes open, but still sleeping. She gets startled by the phone call and jolts awake. The following day, Maya prepares breakfast for Lee, but she can't eat the bacon due to her family's religious and Orthodox Jewish beliefs. While Maya tries to learn more about Lee's family, Lee avoids the topic and requests that she smell the bacon while she takes a shower. As they cuddle, they discuss their cultural backgrounds, with Lee sharing the story of the necklace she wears for protection. Lee's mother calls again, interrupting their morning together, and they say their goodbyes as Lee prepares to leave for her flight back to London. Maya feels lonely after Lee's departure but is surprised when Lee returns, admitting that she doesn't want to leave her. They dance playfully in their room and share their favorite songs, but Maya notices that Lee seems distant and unresponsive whenever her mother calls. In the morning, Lee is not eating again and is in a stupor, unresponsive. As Maya prepares to make coffee, Lee suddenly grabs her wrist and begins to have violent spasms. Maya tries to calm her down, but Lee's legs won't stop moving. In the next scene, Lee is seen struggling to climb up the stairs while holding onto her cane to catch a flight back home to London. Maya feels guilty, thinking that it's her fault that Lee's leg is broken. But Lee reassures her that she has had the injury for a long time. Despite the setback, Maya offers to go with Lee to London. However, Lee is hesitant because her family is Orthodox and strict. Maya insists on going with her, and they both head back to Lee's Jewish neighborhood in London to meet her mother, Shayna. Maya greets Shayna, but she ignores her. They introduce themselves formally and then climb up to Lee's room where Lee and Shayna start bantering. Shayna is very overbearing towards Lee, and it's clear that she doesn't approve of her daughter's lifestyle. During the conversation, Shayna accidentally says that nobody cares about Maya, which was a mistranslation of her meaning that Maya is not Jewish, so nobody minds. As the conversation becomes more heated, Lee suddenly yells at Shayna and becomes upset, making the situation very awkward for Maya. Then, she leaves the room and wanders the halls, wearing only her since she's used to living alone. She finds a bowl under a piece of furniture with a figure of what appears to be male and female and one body printed inside it. As she reads it, she hears muffled voices and suddenly Shayna appears behind her, warning her to be careful. She drops and breaks the bowl. Maya is shocked that Shayna speaks Danish, but Lee had already told her that her mother is Danish. After apologizing for breaking Shayna's clay bowl, Maya offers to replace it, but Shayna explains that it's an expensive and rare man-made object. She dismisses it as a cheap copy but then reveals that she made it herself. As they sit down to eat, Shayna performs a Jewish ritual of pouring red wine before the meal. Maya asks Shayna how long she has been living in London and if she misses Denmark, but Shayna seems preoccupied with an open book in the living room. Lee reminds Shayna to stay and not to worry, and Maya mentions that she is teaching Shayna Danish. Lee adds that Maya is teaching her 80 seconds Danish hit songs, and asks Maya to sing a few lines for her mom to remember. Maya starts singing off-key, and Shayna stares at her with pressure until she finally interrupts, and says she doesn't know the song. The tension dissolves, and Shayna excuses herself to close the book. Lee says that the book must not be opened as demons might use it against them. Shayna gives Maya an amulet for protection. Maya asks if Shayna is okay with them both being gay, and Lee reassures her that Shayna knows. Maya comments on Shayna's religiousness, and Lee explains that Shayna's origins were more relaxed before she married Lee's father. After Lee's father died, Shayna became more extreme and started talking in Yiddish in shops, causing rumors to circulate. Despite this, Lee insists that Shayna loves her. As Maya massages Lee's leg, she climbs into bed with her and puts on the necklace that Shayna gave her. Later, while they are sleeping, Maya is awakened by something creaking along the hallway. She sees flickering lights and a lit candle on the table. After blowing out the candle, she returns to bed, but the room flickers with light again. In the morning, Maya wakes up in bed next to Lee, and they start getting intimate with each other. However, their moment is interrupted by Shayna, who barges in to give them a massage. Shayna instructs that the massage should be distraction-free and tells Maya to go for a walk. Shayna then proceeds to massage Lee, while Maya goes out to the streets of London to take a walk through the Jewish community. While on her walk, Maya passes by a bookstore and interrupts a Jewish man who is on a call. She stammers and awkwardly asks for books on Jewish stuff. The man notices the amulet necklace around Maya's neck and asks about it. Maya explains that it is to ward off demons. The man tells Maya that the books she wants are for advanced readers, and not meant for the general public. Maya then leaves the bookstore, and the man seems wary of her. When Maya returns to Shayna's house, Lee offers her soup, but Shayna refuses. Lee becomes upset and argues with Shayna about their mother's strange behavior of not wanting to make soup for Maya. Maya feels uncomfortable and thinks it's her fault. Lee ignores Maya and instead takes the wine that Maya bought. Maya, wanting to apologize to Shayna, writes a note in Danish and slips it under Shayna's door. As she heads to the kitchen to get some water, she hears a creaking sound, which prompts her to investigate. Despite not finding anyone, the creaking persists, causing her to explore the other rooms in the house. She eventually ends up in her room, which is inexplicably lit with candles. After blowing out the candles, she hears the sound again and goes back to investigate. Meanwhile, Shayna is taking her daughter Lee to the doctor. While searching for her wallet, Maya finds a traditional bowl with salt under the shelf. After moving the table, she discovers a tube with salt and takes it to a Jewish bookstore. The man there explains that the tube is an amulet used to protect children and contains the name of God, such as Shemot. Additionally, he introduces Maya to Kabbalah, the mystical aspect of Judaism that delves into the power of the name of God to protect against malevolent forces and unveil the mysteries of the universe. The man shows Maya a book featuring supernatural figures in Jewish culture, including the Golem, a clay creature created by a rabbi in Prague to protect the Jewish community. Maya learns about the Dybbuk, which is a spirit of a deceased person that can possess the body of a living person. The only way to expel a Dybbuk is to discover what they want and who they are. Lev says that the Dybbuk is a ghost and mentions the Witch of Endor, the first witch, to Lee. The man shows Maya a drawing of a black magic ritual in the book, but as another visitor arrives, he quickly ushers Maya out at the store. As Maya goes to sleep, she overhears Maya talking to her uncle Lev, who is the owner of the Jewish bookstore. Lev apologizes to Maya and returns the amulet, explaining that discussing Jewish mysticism in public is frowned upon. Shayna, Maya's mother, returns home with her hair different and seems uncomfortable with Lev's presence, but Maya assures her that their meeting is just a coincidence. Despite Lev's offer to help, Shayna is adamant about handling things on her own. When Lev leaves, he gives a snack to Maya, but Maya becomes upset and throws it off because she is allergic to peanuts. She apologizes, but Lev and Shayna do not like her reaction. As Maya and Maya try to sleep, they hold hands to comfort each other. Suddenly, they hear heavy footsteps outside their room, and Maya goes to investigate. She sees that it's Shayna, who appears to be drunk and making a lot of noise. Maya tries to ask if she's okay, but Shayna brushes her off and asks to be left alone. Maya gets the spare key for Shayna and asks her to be shown around the neighborhood. Shayna initially declines, but eventually agrees and takes Maya to a bakery to buy something, which she refers to as the usual. The bakery owner looks secretive as he wraps the item secretly in a dark package. They then go to another store and buy a discreet item. After returning home from their shopping trip, Maya accidentally interrupts Lee while she's watching a Christmas show that Maya had previously starred in. Maya feels embarrassed, and Lee tries to ease the tension by complimenting Maya's attractiveness in the scene. They begin to undress and make out, but Maya hears the sound of creaking wood and footsteps, which distracts her and ruins the moment. Lee is disappointed and tells Maya that the bed is also creaking, but Maya insists that she hears footsteps. As a result, they decide not to continue and instead watch a movie. Although there is still tension between them, Lee thanks Maya for being there and making her feel happy despite the weirdness. Lee mentions that if her leg gets better, they will go somewhere together. They go to sleep with the bed covered in white linen and only a flashlight for light. During the night, the flashlight turns off, and Maya hears Shayna's voice saying, "Wake up." Shayna is carrying an unknown figure. This time, it shows the legs. The next morning, Lev drops off a book while Meyer answers the door. Lev asks how Meyer is getting along with Shayna and mentions that Shayna can be complicated. Maya thinks that Shayna hates her, but Lev cryptically mentions that it's not about their queerness. Lev understands that Maya and Lee are a couple and says that Shayna is in a lot of pain and very troubled. He asks for their understanding and suggests that Maya may be able to help Shayna, but Maya feels unsure if she's capable of doing so. Maya tries to impress Shayna by offering to carry her luggage, but Shayna refuses her help and tells her to do something else. Maya is frustrated by Shayna's stubbornness and curses her. She confesses that she is trying to impress Shayna because she loves her daughter and wants to show her that she is worthy of being in their lives. Shayna is horrified by Maya's ramblings but does not say a thing. Maya realizes what she is saying and apologizes. After Shayna rejected Maya's offer to help her with her luggage, she shut her door but then opened it again carrying bottles of beer. Maya shares with Shayna stories about her mother's death and how she struggled to move on with her life. She then expressed her love for Lee and how she wants to be with her and take care of her. Maya confessed that she doesn't know what she would do without Lee in her life. Shayna warns Maya that it is not safe to try to become someone else and questions why Maya is staying there. Maya replied that she was staying there for Lee's sake. Maya expressed excitement for when Lee's leg would heal so that they could travel together and look for a place to stay. However, Shayna becomes increasingly upset by this and tells Maya to stay away. Shayna sees the book about Kabbalah at the coffee table. When Maya attempts to explain that the book Lev gives her was just a gift, Shayna becomes angry and takes the book away. Shayna demands that Maya do as she says. At night, Maya is awakened again by an arguing voice. She gets up. Shayna is seen yelling and talking to Lev, telling him not to come near Maya again. Maya then goes to another room, which seems to be a storage room filled with various items such as photos, Shayna's wig, and other things. Maya tries on the wig but fails, and accidentally opens a cabinet containing bottles and storage containers. She spots the bowl and the black purse and touches the black candle before hearing footsteps and quickly hiding in the closet. Shayna enters the room and begins boiling water in a pot, seemingly chanting. Maya watches as Shayna smokes and drinks alcohol while performing the ritual. Later, Maya exits the closet but hears a thumping sound and finds a piece of paper with a map of the house on it. As Shayna enters the room, Maya quickly leaves and heads back to her own room. She tries to wake Lee up to tell her what she discovered. Maya sees the soup at the bedside which seems to have been there for days. Maya removes the amulet Shayna gave her. The next morning, Maya talks to Lee about her mother's behavior and shows her the map of the apartment, placing a lot of paraphernalia, explaining that Shayna comes in and lights a candle every night. Lee tells Maya that her mother is not mentally stable and is staying there to take care of her. This conversation creates tension between them, and Lee asks Maya to leave for a while. As Maya leaves the apartment, she bumps into Shayna and notices she's not wearing the amulet, but Shayna suggests that Maya should go home. However, Maya insists that she's not afraid of her and returns to her room. Later that night, Maya hears Shayna chanting in Hebrew and slowly peeks into the living room. The following morning, Maya sees Shayna crack Lee's joints while she's asleep during the massage. She thinks Shayna is making her daughter limper. This disturbs Maya, and she decides to take action. Maya goes to Lev for help, but he tells her there's nothing he can do and advises her to stay away from Shayna and Lee. On Lev's table, Maya notices a jar of peanuts. That night, Shayna, Lee, and Maya have dinner together. Lee says that Maya did all the work to impress Shayna, as Lee keeps telling some stories. Then Maya starts to shake and falls from her seat due to an allergic reaction. Shayna runs out and takes an EpiPen. Maya injected the dose into her leg. She overcomes the allergy. Maya says that it is because of something she ate. Lee realizes that the food Shayna brought contained peanuts, to which Maya is allergic. Lee accuses her of putting the peanuts in the food to frame Shayna, but Shayna feigns innocence. Shayna becomes angry when she realizes that Maya put the peanuts in the food to frame her, and she starts jumping at Maya and talking gibberish about someone trying to kill her. Lee becomes angry and throws something heavy, shocking Shayna. Shayna apologizes and denies putting the peanuts in the food. Shayna leaves the two trying to calm them down and not to make irrational decisions. Lee starts to realize that her mother is not mentally stable, and Maya suggests leaving her with Lev. Maya then leaves the apartment to get some water, and Lee removes the necklace amulet that Shayna had given her. She is very upset with her mom. It is later revealed that Maya had actually put the peanuts in the food to frame Shayna, and she discards the evidence. Lee is now convinced that they should leave Shayna and be together, which goes according to Maya's plans. They decide to move out. In another scene, Shayna is seen pleading with someone to wake up, but it's unclear who she's addressing. After leaving Shayna's apartment, Maya and Lee move into Maya's father's cottage in Denmark, in the middle of the forest. While Lee's leg has healed, she begins experiencing catatonic states once again, becoming unresponsive and unaware of her surroundings. One time, she even spills hot tea on the floor without reacting to it. Lee appears to be possessed and sees a cat outside. Meanwhile, Maya is cycling outside and finds Lee lying on the ground. She is unresponsive and emotionless, and Maya tries to make her lively again. Lee's leg has already healed, but she is still experiencing violent seizures at night, causing her to sleepwalk. In the morning, Maya notices that Lee's stomach is noticeably larger and looks unusually pregnant. Maya suggests they go to a doctor as it is worrying. Maya receives a phone call and becomes visibly worried, leaving Maya to care for her alone once again. Shayna sneaks off on her bicycle to meet with Lev in secret. He tells her that they need to see Lee, so she has to bring him there. Maya confides in Lev that Lee is feeling unwell and may be getting sick. Shayna suddenly appears and demands to see Lee. Maya orders Shayna to stay away. Later, a stranger comes to the cottage looking for her missing cat, which Lee had seen earlier. Lee is still brushing her hair. The stranger mistakes Maya's bloated stomach for a pregnancy and asks how far along she is. Meanwhile, Lee's lip is turning dark, indicating that her condition is worsening. She tells the woman that she saw the cat, prompting her to come nearer. Things become insidious. Shayna reveals that when Lee was 7 years old, she started having epileptic episodes, but it soon became clear that it was something different. One day, when Lee had a friend over, they were playing when suddenly it became quiet. Shayna explains that it wasn't an accident, and the recurring scenes of Shayna pleading for a girl to wake up were actually related to the dead girl in their living room while Lee is being possessed in the background. Who killed the girl was not Lee, but rather a Dybbuk, an evil spirit that had possessed Lee for many years. They had tried to exorcise it but failed, and they never told Lee about it. Lev scolds Shayna that they should have told Lee and or Lee's friends so that they won't make reckless decisions such as moving into the middle of the forest. Lev demands to see Lee and suggests a secret ritual. Lev and Chan walk together to get the car, but Maya has already gone to the house to escape with Lee. She comes back to the house finding Lee's appearance to be worse than when she left her this morning. Lee insults her that Maya is getting old and that she's sick of her. Then as she is about to attack Maya, Lee suddenly disappears. Maya looks for Lee outside the house, but then there's a shadowy figure inside the house. Maya can hear Lee's voice calling for her inside. She gets inside and then climbs up to the attic. Then as she mazes through the drapes, she finds the elderly woman's body, which is now dead. Lee suddenly appears in her face and then attacks her. A Hebrew chant is heard in the background and Lee suddenly stops. Lev and other rabbis with Shayna climb up the stairs. Lev tells her to move over to the side. They start their ritual by circling Lee with salt, placing the bowl, and lighting the black candles. Maya soon realizes that Shayna's obsessive behavior towards Lee and Jewish rituals is for a reason. It has kept Lee sane and safe all these years. It explains why Lee shouldn't be away from her mother. Maya apologizes for her ignorance of Shayna. Shayna tells her that they should save Lee and regrets that she did not tell her daughter. Lev explains to never interrupt the ritual and break it off, or else Lee or one of them might die. He also says that the bowl will capture the Dybbuk's soul, but it will still look for a body or a soul to take. Lev starts the ritual by reciting a prayer in Hebrew. The other rabbis join in, and soon the room is filled with the sound of their chanting. Lee's body becomes agitated and starts to thrash around inside Lee's body. Lev tells him to calm down and let go. Lev demands to know who the Dybbuk is before he enters Lee's body. The Dybbuk still eludes the question of what he has been doing for years. Lev persists with his questions. The Dybbuk becomes angrier and tries to choke him. They begin the ritual and the salt is lit up. The Dybbuk says that if he leaves, Lee's soul will be stuck in the circle and she will die. And if they stop the ritual, they will all die. The Dybbuk emits black smoke, which represents its evil soul. Lee returns to normal, her appearance becoming healthy again. Lee asks what is going on and pleads. She cannot go outside the circle. Shayna says not to move, reassuring her that everything is going to be okay. Maya, who is pitying Lee, asks for the ritual to be stopped because Lee is in pain. Shayna goes near her and breaks the bowl, breaking the circle. She goes in and carries Lee outside the circle. As Shayna goes into the circle, the Dybbuk possesses her. Shayna suddenly dies in Lee's arms. Her soul is sucked. Shayna sacrificed herself because the Dybbuk would still ask for a soul. Toward the end, they go back to London and empty Shayna's apartment. Lee and Maya are still together and married. Lee diverts away from Maya, who is reminding her of her mother, by donning Maya's costume when they first met. Maya returns the amulet Shayna gave her. Lee regrets when she is mean to Shayna, treating her as a nuisance. Lee asks if they were safe. Maya assures her that the Dybbuk has already left her body. They hug and kiss. Maya is about to drop the keys when the salt package drops out of her bag. Maya sees her wearing the amulet. Maya looks at her, swearing to protect her. She takes Shayna's ritual paraphernalia and goes back to the car.